With social media, you got to contend with it. You have to deal with it.
And just like the media, you had to contend with.
But it's a different ball game because I don't have to engage you. I don't have to talk to you, right? So I use Terrence Crawford as an example. And I'm not gonna name names, but I'm gonna just speak generally. A lot of people were wrong about him. Bob has his opinion about, I'm not looking at the books, I can't speak on what he lost, I can't speak on that. But I'm saying him not being a draw, you know, talking about his personality, you know, and not realizing this dude's story, which you detailed in great detail this whole time at ESPN, but not having the wherewithal to say, man, maybe he's not very talkative because of what he's coming from, and there's a trust thing. So let me do a little work to try to build this trust, and then maybe we can have a better conversation. They wrote what they wrote. They put the headlines.
Hold on. I just
Go for it.
Who is they?
I'm saying those.
I always think it's like it's always we gotta define who they are.
They know who they are. Those that did it.
Look, all I can say.
Not all.
This is.
But hear me. I said those that did it. They know who they are.
This is a point of frustration to me.
They tried to bury that dude. And what happens is, but here's my real issue. It's not even the action, because that's probably not gonna stop. It's probably not gonna stop. People are gonna write, they're gonna do what they wanna do, and then they'll show up for the media event, and then they'll put a camera in your face. And I don't think fighters should engage writers as if they were other fighters. You know, these guys aren't fighters, so I wouldn't engage you on that level, me personally. But how can you put a camera in my...
A couple times you wanted to smack me.
Maybe a few times, but no. You put it just because you have a job to do. But man, you've been writing. I was just looking at The Last Dance the other day again, and I forgot all the stuff because I was young when that stuff was happening. That they're writing about Michael Jordan, and I don't know what some of his relationship is with some of the media, but it's like these are cheap shots.
But Michael Jordan didn't suffer from bad press.
At times he did. His father died. He went to go play baseball. His airness. They had certain things that they said.
Some of it in the media, or press, like you're doing the best you can.
Yeah,
hold up. No, you're doing the. There's just two. Let me get to Jordan, and I'll get to because Crawford. I think is an interest.
I ain't done on Crawford yet.
No, neither am I. Neither am I, and I agree with a lot of what you say. But like Jordan, man, you're there. You got something coming out the next day. You're doing the best you can on deadline. And
but is it the best when like he retires and then they say that it's really a suspension and they're hiding something? Like those are personal things. Or his father dies. It's probably because of his gambling addiction.
You're doing the best.
That's doing the best you can.
You think people didn't like? People think, and I was there. I covered it. People were on Jordan's jock, and they should have been. He was the greatest. Michael Jordan didn't suffer from bad press. And some
but
of the
he did
things,
at times.
Some of the things that are cynical, it's like you have a right to be cynical.
He rose above it though.
I tell you what I think you're talking about, which is something that I was taught when I was a kid. I was a New York tabloid columnist. Probably everything you hate in the media. Okay, cool. And I was taught this, to your point. And man, you want to be like Shakespeare? Like, I don't, like, great. Knock yourself out. Go be Shakespeare on your own time. But right now, I want some red meat. I want red meat. I want some that sells newspapers. And they're allowed to ask you for that. And in one way or another, most consumers want some form of red meat. Certainly on the phone, on social media. You do the best you can in the time allotted. Some guys and women are good, fair, some not. I've seen both sides. I don't think Jordan suffered from bad press. I mean, it wasn't like he was in New York. And in New York especially, you talk about the New York swagger, we were expected.
He's a global superstar though.
No, but we were expected in New York.
He transcended the city.
But we were expected in New York. Yo, don't be guarding up the athletes. They could do that in Chicago. They definitely do it in LA. But New York, man, and you'd always like throw a punch just to make sure you were doing your job. Is that dishonest? Is that wrong? I don't know. I did the best I could as a kid. No. But I'm telling you.
But there's some guys that are maliciously doing this stuff.
I'm copping to what you said as a columnist, and I'll tell you why. I just told you, like, hey, this was the instructions. This is the job, man. You can't. If you're a New York City columnist, you can't. forgive me, can't be seen as straight. Same thing you were talking about, New York swagger. Yeah, man, don't let him get away with that. It was a mindset.
What's the non-New York guys' excuses?
It depends on the cat. I always thought the other guys around the country were like much softer than we were. We were just like
from the New York perspective.
But let me go back to Crawford. I don't think the last time I spent as much time covering trying to think, on just a single assignment as I did on Crawford in Nebraska. Might have been a homicide in Brownsville of a cop who died in the Tilden projects, where Shushu Carrington's from. I had a hard time selling that. I had a hard time selling the Crawford thing. And like people were like, well, who is he? Is he here or there? And ESPN gave me a lot of space. And a lot of time I took with that Crawford thing. And I'm really proud of it because I was in like the minutia of his life and Bomac's life. And I felt privileged to do that. And I wanted to show it around to everybody, like, look at this story. And a lot of it was about Crawford and his mom. And I didn't go easy on them. And Crawford and his kids, and Crawford driving to go wrestling with his kids 3, 4 hours, 5 hours in the damn car. Probably because he didn't, his dad wasn't able, his dad was in the Navy. Mm-hmm. And I loved that goddamn story. And I wanted everyone to read it. And then we did another version, like sort of on camera, with him and his mom. And it was a hard story. And I remember he fought Benavidez. And if you go back, you look at the rating for that fight, it did a really good number. I mean, like great. And Benavidez was a for that time, considered a little bit substandard opponent. Even though he came up, he was incredibly talented. And the fight got juiced up because Benavidez went to go slap him at the weigh-in. Crawford has a story. It's an incredibly dramatic story. And I think it was undersold. And you don't have to be like a song and dance guy to sell a fight. Interesting case, Floyd Mayweather says, what do I got to do to sell? And to my mind, he reconstructed himself. And he became this incredibly, probably the second most lucrative fighter after Tyson. But Terrence shouldn't have been asked to do anything other than what he did. My opinion.
That's my point.
I think that, I'm sorry, who are these other guys who like are household words that are selling?
That's my point.
He needed, but here's the thing. To me, what Terrence got blamed for is the inability to get him a sufficiently worthy opponent. So what do we have? We're covering Amir Khan? Who's really gonna, that outcome is in doubt? This is the thing that has plagued this generation of the sport. And it really came down on Terrence. A success, after he goes to 47, whether Spence was promised or not, they never got him. They never got him Spence. And he had to run through so many damn hoops to get Spence, even after he left.
But to my earlier point, that's also a fight that many wrote about and said it's not gonna happen.
Right.
And Terrence said, we can figure it out. I've talked to Spence, we can figure it out. That fight, that should have been the primary goal for Terrence Crawford. Not just Terrence, but I'm saying his team.
But I got a question though, okay? Where was, I've done stories on Errol Spence, okay? He was a great fighter. I've seen him in the gym, like beat up like light heavyweights or cruiserweights, incredibly strong guy. No one ever questioned Spence's drawing power. Was he a bundle of personality? No. Like when I look at Terrence Crawford, I see a complicated, interesting guy with a story. And if you can't tell that story, shame on you. But the biggest thing in boxing, you want to sell a fighter? The first thing you do, you want to quibble with him because of his style or this or that. The first thing you do, get him an opponent worthy of his worthy of his titles, worthy of his ability, an opponent who you see him fight and you will remember.
But you can't fabricate that, and you got to take.
No, but
you got to take what you're given sometimes. And what I'm saying about Crawford is, and I can name 10 fighters right now.
I think I'm with you on this argument.
I think
I'm saying.
I can name 10 fighters right now that have not had a marquee matchup, but because we like him, he's our guy, and we got a good rapport. You're gonna think he's the next coming. Terrence Crawford.
I think that's true in
But we're just talking boxing right now. Terrence Crawford. The biggest issue is that things will be said and done, and then when you overcome the thing that they said that you couldn't do many times over, which he's done, he got the fight. He performed in the fight. His stature grew. He continued to win, right? He's making more money than he's ever made before. Oh, and then he got the Canelo fight that many said he wasn't going to get. But here's the thing where I lose respect a lot of times for those that are speaking about our sport that we're lifers in. We're risking our life to be in. They never come back and apologize and say, man, I was wrong about this guy. And the same energy that I have, doing the best that I can to make sure I meet this deadline, we don't put that same energy
I've done it with Mike.
You did it with me, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
but I'm saying, we don't come back and say, you know what? Man, I was wrong about that guy. You were right. We don't try to balance out them scales or right that wrong. And we just normalize this stuff.
I'll give you, but it goes.
Last thing. We normalize it, Krieg, and then when you do get on the soapbox and start to elevate your voice and speak about it, oh, nobody wants to hear that. Like, man, I love this sport and I love the fighters that's in it.
I do too.
And I'm not saying you don't. And I don't appreciate those kind of things, whether it's coming my way. I'm not saying critique. Sometimes fighters just sensitive. Some of the toughest guys in the world, but you can't tell them something because they sensitive about their work. And it's like, dude, you shouldn't have felt that way about that. Right. But then sometimes you got an agenda. You're trying to really bury this dude.
But you just said it. Sometimes you look at. I remember the Benavidez fight, and I could not love Crawford more. But I had done a story about Benavidez getting shot in the knee before, and I saw him hobbling on that. He just couldn't.
It's a real story.
So I talk about now he's hobbling on that knee late in the round, and Terrence is like, "Yo, what you made about his knee for?" You think.
That ain't your fault.
But I'm not taking anything away from you, Terrence. I mean, and Benavidez did a lot better. He did do better in that fight than I thought he was going to do. I thought he was just going to get housed from the beginning. But here's another element here that is particular to our time in boxing, and that is the inability of promoters to make the fights that fighters should have. Now, talk all you want about Shakur. How popular would he be if he had fought Tank Davis, if he had just had the fights he wanted? All of these guys, you know the first thing in making a guy popular, want to make people care about your story? Put him in a big fight. Tommy Hearns, you cared about him, fought Ray Leonard. You saw what was best in both of those guys' souls. You saw how tough Ray Leonard was. But if you're not matching guys up and you can't make fights, geez, my God, Don King and Bob Arum could do business together. But these guys out here today, they can't.
I don't think we know.
Or they haven't been able to for the last, I don't know how many years. And that has resulted in, my opinion, a presumption against a lot of guys who haven't gotten the fights they should have. Look, why isn't David Benavidez a household name? Because Canelo hasn't fought him. That's straight up, that's the truth of it.
I don't think we know really how to make a star in boxing.
I do. You put him in big fights.
I don't think, because you know how many fighters crashed and burned trying to beat Floyd Mayweather? Oh, the money man. No, bro. You got to add the jail time in. You got to add the headline about this. You got to add this in that he overcame. There is no secret sauce to becoming a star.
I think that there's,
there are elements. Yes, if you can have the marquee name, that'll help you. Yes, if the media, they know your story and they embrace it and endear themselves to you because of it, that can be a reason. But that's not a guarantee. Danny Jacobs got knockouts. Danny Jacobs has a tremendous story. The man beat cancer and is still beating cancer. And I didn't see the media. I didn't see the media flocking to him like that. He's got a great personality. Smiles, clean cut, takes care of his son.